So you think you're getting discarded by the narcissist. How do you know for sure? And why does it seem like they want to destroy you before they let you go? That's what we're talking about today at QueenBeeing.com. So let's get started.
Closed captioning provided by Athena Moberg and CPTSDFoundation.org.
My name's Angie Atkinson, and on this channel, I offer free daily video coaching to help you discover, understand, and overcome narcissistic abuse in toxic relationships. I like to call it toxic relationship rehab. So if that sounds good to you, hit that subscribe button and let's get going. It's really hard for any of us to understand exactly how it is that someone who claims to love us so much can be so horrible and cruel to us. And this is especially true as we're getting ready to go through the discard phase, whether we're doing it ourselves, we're discarding the narcissist, or we are discarded. And sometimes we don't really realize this until after we're discarded. Why is it that they want to destroy us in that process? And what do I mean by that? After you get out of a relationship with a narcissist, inevitably you're going to feel like you've been traumatized. You're going to feel like you've just been through hell and back. And that's exactly how most of us feel in those moments. You feel confused, you feel lost, you feel hurt. You don't understand how you were so in love with that person in 1 minute, and then in the next minute, suddenly you're trash, and there's nothing that you can do to change their opinion. They might cheat on you. They'll definitely devalue you. They will humiliate you. And you'll find yourself going, how in the heck am I ever supposed to trust anybody again? Ever. You doubt yourself, you doubt your ability to judge other people, and maybe up to this point in your life you thought, I'm really good at understanding people. It's kind of one of my gifts. I thought that too. Narcissists aren't like other people. Anybody who's been in a relationship with a narcissist will feel me on this one. You are dealing with someone who's not a standard human being. They don't have the same kinds of emotions. They most definitely do not have the same kind of empathy as normal people. On the plus side, narcissistic people are really predictable. They seem like they follow the same relationship patterns again and again and again. They go through the same cycle, which looks like love bomb or idealize, devalue, discard, hoover, where they suck you back in, and back again. This can happen time and time again in the same relationship, or it can happen repeatedly throughout this narcissist's life in many different relationships, and often concurrently with other relationships. And even though most people think narcissists are very devious, and they do seem to be kind of outside of what society would prefer or what people in general would prefer them to be, they also are kind of simple and kind of predictable if you really look for the patterns. When you learn to recognize the early signs that you're dealing with a narcissist, then in the future you can decide if you want to continue to be in one of those relationships. So why are they so prone to being abusive? Let's talk about it. There are two different things that kind of lend to that for them, and the first one is the lack of empathy. They are very low on emotional empathy for other people, and it seems like especially those who are closest to them. Now, empathy, just in case you didn't know, is the ability to sort of feel the feelings of other people, to understand and care about the feelings of other people. And then the other thing is the whole object constancy factor. They lack the ability to feel love at the same time that they feel anger. When they feel like you've done something to hurt them, they literally don't love you in that moment. It's a Freudian concept. I've actually done a video on it before. I'll link to it for you up here. It's important to remember that not everybody with narcissistic personality disorder is the same level of abusive. NPD exists on a spectrum. In fact, I would say the whole cluster B personality disorder group is on a spectrum. We're going to talk next about the narcissistic abuse pattern. What does the relationship pattern look like? We're going to go into a little more detail. Take a look.
Being in a relationship with a narcissist is a whole lot like being on a roller coaster. Sometimes you feel absolutely cherished and loved and adored. Other times you feel like you're no better than the dirt on the bottom of somebody's shoe. Sound familiar?
Devalue and discard happens after all the love bombing. Once you are in the relationship with the narcissist, believing that you've had this wonderful gift of a person in your life who is your soulmate. They've showered you with gifts. They've planned special trips. They've taken you away. They've done romantic gestures and planned special dinners and brought you gifts and flowers and chocolate or whatever it was that you enjoy to suck in. But now you're in it. You've been in it for a little while, and the things that you thought you loved about them, the things that they led you to believe was true about them, starts to diminish, and you start seeing the change. And not only changes in them, but in changes in the way that they treat you.
When a narcissist begins to devalue, it can feel confusing because up to that point, usually they were in the love bomb part of the relationship. Once the devalue starts, it can start off, at first it can either be a big hit, like all of a sudden everything you're doing is wrong and you have an urge to fix it and make it better, because of course it had to be you since they are this wonderful loving person. Or it can take the form of really slight digs or cruel joke or dissatisfactions that seem out of place and you think that they're just having a bad day. So it can come on strong or it can be subtle, and it can go on for a while this way.
You get devalued, you get discarded, you get abused. Once you get past the fun part, where you're actually being treated with love and respect, you hit the good old devalue phase. That is the worst part, because going through the discard phase feels a whole lot like having your soul ripped out and your heart ripped out and having them twisted all together and stomped on and pushed down into a little pulp. Yeah, I know that sounds dramatic, but if you've been there, you know that that is actually under dramatic for the circumstances.
It could start off subtle. They might say something about your weight or about your hairstyle or the way you dress, or some kind of insult that they might brush off as a joke, or playful teasing, or something to make it seem like it wasn't intended that way. But it was.
They do things like gaslight. They project issues onto you. So if they are feeling a certain way, they start telling you you're feeling that way. If, say, they're cheating, suddenly you're the one cheating in their eyes or in their words. So they start blaming you for things that they are possibly doing. They can nitpick. They can control. Pretty much it feels like you're with a different person.
Unfortunately, you can never tell what kind of mood a narcissist will be in, and even though you learn to sort of read them and understand what's coming next, every now and then they'll still shock you. Sometimes when you've been with narcissists for 100 years or so, they'll shock you. My experience has been that narcissists in the discard phase, in the devalue phase, are the worst ones.
They might take a jab at a family member or cause that's important to you.
It's like Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, people say, but it really is like a personality shift. Like the person is no longer the same person, they are now this other person.
One of the first things I think that we have to recognize is that when we're going through the part where we have to try to figure out exactly how we went from being adored and loved and cherished to being treated like dog crap, it's confusing because it happens so fast. One day everything's fine, and before we know it, we can't even breathe. But if you take the time to understand the devalue phase and how it works and what actually happens, then you'll understand what you've been through, why it happened, and that it really isn't your fault.
The silent treatment can come from this, stonewalling. They don't want to talk about the problem. They don't want to talk about the issue at hand. They divert all problems, either not wanting to talk about it and going silent, or raging about something else and then going silent, or lecturing about things unrelated to whatever the issue was, sort of confuse you and then make you feel like you're left trying to put the pieces back together.
It's little things. So it could be one of those things that they loved about you in the beginning. One of those things that they're like, oh my God, like I love that about you so much. And then next thing you know, they're poking jabs at you about it. This continues and it gets worse over time so that it's full on mean, exhausting, sucking the soul out of you, constantly on attack. You're constantly feeling miserable. They're putting you down. They're embarrassing you, making you feel bad about yourself, making you doubt yourself, in some ways devalue your own self. I mean, if you're told something enough, eventually you're going to start to believe it, even when you know it's not true.
So essentially, the devalue phase will begin right about the time the narcissist feels like they've really got their hands on you, like they really win. They know that they've got you in their clutches, as it were, and that's when they'll start to devalue you.
You have been knocked off the pedestal. You've been knocked off the love bomb cloud you were on, and you are pretty much flat on the ground wondering how you got there. It's completely devastating. That can be the point where trauma bonding has taken hold, to the point of it being very difficult to see what's happening.
You start to believe it. You get sucked into their negativity and love them so much you just want to make them happy, so you try harder to please them. And then they up the game and move the goalpost, and they just, continue to bring you down so that you really have nothing left. You have nothing left. You're just this empty shell of a person that they have whittled down over time, made you feel worthless, taken everything you have, everything good about you. They just made you believe all of the things that they had to say. Nobody's going to love you. Nobody's going to love you if you lose them because you're worthless.
You've got to know that narcissists generally don't see you as anything other than a supply or an extension of themselves. They don't see you as a whole person.
So they get you to this state where you're low, feeling awful. You've lost your self-esteem, your self-worth. You've lost your self-respect. You've also lost family members, friends. They've sabotaged all those relationships to isolate you. They've ridiculed you, punished you, tricked you with some love bombing to make you think that maybe things were going to be okay, and then the process starts again. And they do this, well, for as long as you're going to tolerate it, or until they feel like you have nothing left to give them. They're bored. They've taken a vibrant, loving, caring person with a full life, and they've brought them down to this sad, depressed, lonely, isolated soul, and then they get bored, so what do we have left to give, right? So they end up discarding.
And then, of course, the hoovering phase begins.
Hoovering is a technique that narcissists use to suck you back in. We call it hoovering because of the famous vacuum cleaner.
Given the information that I shared with you today, you can understand why narcissists want to destroy you. Ultimately, I think it comes down to the fact that they are personality disordered. As a result of being in relationship with that person, you have been emotionally and psychologically beaten down. And they do that because they want to control you. And they know that if you don't think much of yourself, if you don't have the strength to go away from them, to leave them, to run away, you are controllable, you are manipulatable, and you will not leave. It's kind of like clipping a bird's wings, but maybe a little more painful. So this brings me to the question of the day. And the question of the day is, did your narcissist attempt to destroy you before the discard? Or did you feel like your narcissist was abusive to you even though they claim to love you? Share your thoughts, share your ideas, share your experiences in the comment section below, and let's talk about it. All right, that's all I've got for you right now. But as always, thank you so much for being a part of my day and a part of my life. And hey, thanks for letting me be a part of yours. It really does mean a lot to me. I want to take a quick minute to just give a quick shout out to my amazing channel members. You guys rock. Thank you so much for being your awesome selves and for all of your support helping me to help our fellow survivors discover, understand, and overcome narcissistic abuse and toxic relationships. It means more to me than I can say. Thank you again so much. My amazing channel members include Angela, Susan, Roxanne, Debbie, Lorenzo, Life's Revival, Trisha, James, Marlene, Jen, Sarah Lee, Delilah, Boku, Paul, Janet, Pierlala, Laura, Charlie, Linda, Bible News Radio, Angel, Carrie, Beautiful Purpose, Alice, Cherie, Phoenix, Linnell, Marcia, and Lynn. Thank you so much. Again, I just want to say thank you so much for hitting that join button. Your support really does mean a lot to me. Thank you again. All right, that's all I've got for you right now. But as always, thank you so much for being a part of my day and a part of my life. And hey, thanks for letting me be a part of yours. It really does mean a lot to me. Now, before I go, make sure you take a look at the videos I'm leaving for you over there and right there. And while you're here, hit that subscribe button so we can stay connected and continue on this healing journey together. I'll see you soon.